Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I have got 4 cards to share with you using the Stamp Market Seasons Front die cut. I fell in love with this die cut and I wanted to show you a few different ways that you could use it for some different looks. So I have cut things a little bit closer in my editing than I normally would, but I wanted to keep this shorter rather than longer. It made more sense to me to have all 4 of these in one video rather than splitting it into 2. So this does run a little bit longer, but I am taking you through here on this first card the sort of basic plan on how this would be put together. This is how the die is meant to be put together. So as you saw there, I went ahead and layered my 4 panels onto my door front, popped those up with some foam dots, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my bow together. And then I'm going to set that off to the side and we're going to put together this little wreath. Now, this wreath is actually one of my favorite pieces from this kit. I love the little leaves. It layers together so perfectly, the way they curve. It's very, very easy to layer these and make this really nice, thick, what looks like a really full leaf. So I can see myself coming back and playing with this, even maybe doing some cards of just the wreaths in lots of different colors. I just think it's so pretty. So I have trimmed out 6 of these leaves and then 6 of the ones that look more like ferns, and I'm layering these. They fit perfectly. I'm just slightly placing that stem underneath the leaf that I placed down previously, and they make a really beautiful circle. Once I've got all 6 of these down, I'm going to take the sort of more fern looking pieces or evergreen looking pieces, and I'm going to add 6 of those in as well. Again, just placing a little dot at the back of the stem, and I'm going to slide that in between the ones I've already placed down. And then once those are dry, you can really easily just go take the edges of these and fluff this up, and it makes this really beautiful, really full looking wreath. So I'm going to choose I want to say barest, or maybe the part that isn't perfectly overlapped, and I'm gonna pop up this red bow and place that right on top of there. And then for even more dimension, I will go ahead and add some pop dots behind the wreath, and then I will place that on top of my door front. I'm going to add a little dot of glue on the top and very bottom of those panels, and I will add my doorknob in. Off camera, I have gone ahead on a scrap piece of my Nina cardstock, stamped out the sentiment, "'Tis the season to be jolly." This is from another Stamp Market set, and it is called Santa's Greetings. I've used my usual intense black ink, and here I'm going to take the door frame. I've popped that up. I'm going to peel away the backing, and then I will frame that sentiment in my doorway. Starting at the bottom there, just to make sure everything stays straight. And then I will peel away the backing from the rest of my foam strips and get all of that into place. I finally splurged and got a big pack of the really thin foam strips to create some shaker cards and dimension on things that are thinner like this, and I am so glad that I did. They are making all the difference, makes things a lot quicker rather than having to trim everything down to size. So I will go ahead here, trim around the curve of that door frame, and now I'm going to attach the hinges to my door. Now this is a little bit tricky. There is a score line in the center of these tiny, tiny hinges. So I'm using my pokey tool there to make sure that I'm getting that folded right on the line. And then what I'm going to do is add glue to one side of this hinge. And I'm going to place that right along the edge of my door. Now I'm making sure that there's no glue on the opposite side. That's really more important in the next step, but I'm being very careful that it's just along that one side, and then I will place the folds right at the edge of the door. So half on one side, half on the other. And make sure those are nice and straight and down nice and tight, and then I'm going to let this dry. And once that's dry, I'm then going to add glue to the other side of the hinge, again, making sure it is only on that tiny white piece of paper and not my door. And then I'm going to line this up with my door frame and press those down. Again, I'm going to make sure those are down nice and tight, and then I will let them dry. I'm adding some glue here to the back of my door, and I'm going to place that on top of my card base. And then peel away the backing on that foam strip and get my little step or frame into place as well. And there you'll see the door opens and we have our sentiment. I think that is just so much fun. For the inside, I'm using another stamp in that Santa's Greeting stamp set, and I am just wiping away the bottom portion here. I've gone ahead and stamped that out with my intense black ink, but I only want the Merry Christmas to show, so I'm just taking away that extra black for the part that says "to all." And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that twice just to make sure I have a nice crisp image. Again, adding some ink, I'll wipe away the little bit that's on those few words below and then press that into place. I'll add some ATG to the back, place that on the inside of my card base, and that is going to complete card number 1. Lots of dimension. Really, really love this die set. Okay, so like I said, we are moving quick through these. This time I'm going to create a window where we can see our Christmas tree behind it. So I have pulled in one of the pieces from my I guess you would call them pouches. These are sort of my organizer pouches that I use to hold my stamps and die sets. And I just cut those in half, and you can use that. It's not acetate, but it works very similar to it. So I'm going to add some liquid glue behind my frame here, and then I have placed that down. I'm going to let that dry. And while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to create my string of lights. Now, if you watch the Just the Cuts video that I did do this same thing, but I wanted to talk you through it. So I'm leaving a little bit more of this in than I am for some of the other things. I have trimmed out in glitter paper, blue, yellow, and pink to create my lights. So the glitter is going to go on top, and what I'm doing is just sort of strategically choosing which lights of each color I want to keep. You could go, every fourth one, you can make it random, however you like, but basically you want to have, all 4 colors mixed throughout your strand. So I'm going through, cutting all of that off here. On my silver, I'm leaving about a 1/4 of these bulbs still attached to the cord. And then once I'm happy with the amount that I have there, I'm going to add some of my art glitter glue behind this. I'm just putting a little dab of glue behind each of the lights that I decided to keep there. Then we're going to place that on top of the blue strand. And the great thing about the liquid glue is it gives you a little bit of time so you can sort of scooch things as you need and get everything lined up and in its place. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this strand, but this time the only thing I need to remove are the blue bulbs that I don't want. So again, keeping this even, just keeping in mind that I have 4 different colors and I want to space these out as evenly as I can. I'm going to remove some of these blue lights. I will again add glue behind, and skipping ahead here, I've now added the pink and we're going to add the yellow as well, which will complete our strand. So you just do the same thing with each one, layering as you go. And the nice thing about the very last one is you don't have to cut off a thing. And there is a look at how that's finished. So I should mention the tree and the lights are from a coordinating die set, which is called Oh Christmas Tree. It also comes with some presents and some bows as well. I'm again here going to add some dots behind all of my little lights, and then I'll place this on top of my tree. I've got my door frame here. I'm going to take my tree, again, glue that down onto a scrap piece of Neenah cardstock. Now that my window is nice and dry, I'm going to go ahead and trim around that. And I'm going to add, of course, some of my foam strips behind the back of that. Just gonna check out how that's gonna fit on top of my door frame. And then I'll peel away the backing from the frame and place that on top of my tree. Just making sure that's nice and straight. Again, I'll peel away the backing behind my window frame. And I'll place that down on top. Again, I'll go ahead and trim around this. Add some glue to the back of my window and I'll place that on the top of my card base. I did decide to do a double layer of these foam strips along this sort of bottom windowsill or step, depending on what you're making, just because with that double layer there of the foam tape, I wanted everything to be nice and even. I've gone ahead here and stamped out my inside panel, again using my intense black ink. This saying is from an Essentials by Ellen stamp set called Homespun Holiday, one of my favorites. It's not what's under the Christmas tree that counts, it's who's around it. And that will complete card number 2. Jumping even faster here into card number 3. At home, my mom always has some garland that she puts around our front door, and I wanted to try and recreate that using this greenery. So I am going ahead here and layering this up. It looks a little wonky at first, but you'll see once we get the evergreen mixed in, it really does make a very full, pretty garland around this tree. So I am alternating with these here. I'm doing one to the right, one to the left, meeting the stems in the middle. And then I have one more piece at the bottom that I'm going to slide underneath here, facing down, of course, with the largest leaf. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. One to the left, one to the right. We'll do that twice in a row. Just making sure to keep sort of a consistent chain of this greenery. And then up at the top here, I'm going to do that one more time. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill in with our sort of evergreen sprigs, and anywhere that I see a space that has a little bit too much white or maybe too many leaves pointing in the same direction, I'm just going to, again, add a little glue to the back of that stem, sort of fill in to make everything look nice and full. I'll go ahead and add some pop dots to the back of my bow and place that up at the top here. And to finish this off, I've stamped out "'Tis the Season." This is from another stamp market set called Sprigs of Greenery. Add some ATG to the back of that. Place that here on the inside of my card base. And that will complete card number 3. For card number 4, we're going to create another window, just giving this one a little different touch of greenery. I have not added any acetate or plastic behind this one. I'm going to leave it open. And I just wanted this to sort of be looking in to see the pretty wallpaper pattern in the background. So I've gone ahead and popped that up with some of my foam strips. I've also added foam tape along the back of my window frame or door frame. And I wanted to show you, I loved this paper. It was one of my favorites. I think this collection was called Merry and Bright. It's one of the Stamp Market paper collections, but it's from a few years ago. And I had some left over. I really wanted to use more of this pattern, but I did not have a full sheet. So we're going to just split it down the middle here. The window bars helped me out perfectly with that. And I'm just going to make sure that I don't have any gaps. Press both of these smaller pieces into place. I of course went ahead and trimmed around the edges there. Now I'm going to add some art glitter glue. No pattern paper on the background of my card base this time. I decided to keep that white. You could of course create brick or even siding if you wanted to give a little bit more of the idea of the outside of a house. And then we're just going to put a little sprig, a little bow of greenery here across the window. So I've got 4 of these little green leaves here. The top 2, I've cut one of the leaves off of just to give a little bit of difference because I didn't want too much happening there. I'll glue those down again, sort of going in the opposite direction, just like I did with the garland. And then we will layer the smaller pieces on top. I'll again add a pop dot to the back of my bow here. And place that on top. For the inside, I have stamped out Season's Greetings. This is from a Simon Says stamp, Holiday Greetings Mix 1. Of course, some ATG to the back of that. Place that on the inside of the card base, and that will complete card number 4. So there you have 4 different looks using the same die set. Here are a few close-ups of the finished cards. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I've used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.